Alrighty, so first things first, we gotta give props to the Boston Celtics. Good job, Boston Celtics. You guys played a very good series. You guys deserve to win. Now, of course, I will talk about the Raptors in a second because I do have a lot to say to the Toronto Raptors. But right now, I just gotta talk about the Boston Celtics for obvious reasons, right? Now, you guys can very clearly see that this hat says Lakers. So just by this hat, you guys should know that I am nowhere near being called a Celtics fan. However, this is something I never thought I would ever say. I am rooting for the Boston Celtics to make it out of the Eastern Conference. I know, some of you just went and double tapped the left side of your screen twice because you're not sure if you really heard a Lakers fan say he's rooting for the Celtics. But I want you guys to beat the Miami Heat because if and when my Lakers make it out of the Western Conference, I would love to see a Lakers versus Celtics matchup in the finals, and I'm pretty sure most NBA fans would tune in for that as well. Now, I hope that doesn't come back and bite me in the butt, meaning I hope we don't see a Celtics versus Clippers finals matchup, because if that's the case, then I might as well not even watch that damn series. But now you guys know why I am rooting for the Boston Celtics to beat the Heat. So with that being said, let's analyze yesterday's game. Normally, I start talking about one team and then I talk about the other team, and yes, I am gonna do that, but in yesterday's game, I noticed a lot of similarities that I just wanted to point out before I talk about one particular team. For example, both teams shot 41% from the field. The Celtics made 9 threes and the Raptors made 8 threes. So although that's not quite the same, that's pretty close. Both teams had 44 rebounds, and both teams had a very similar amount of points scored in the paint. But with all of that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the Boston Celtics and what they did so well. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The Boston Celtics have a superstar in the making with Jayson Tatum. I don't know when exactly he'll be a superstar. Will it be in 2 years, 3 years? I don't know. But the fact that he is already a star and balling out, that is enough of an indicator that he is going to be one of the best players in the NBA in a pretty short span of time. Last night, Jayson Tatum became the second youngest player to have at least 25 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists in a Game 7. And in case you're curious on who the youngest player was, it was none other than Kobe Bryant himself. So anytime you're in a conversation with a great basketball player such as Kobe Bryant, may he and his daughter and everyone else involved in that crash rest in peace. But anytime you're involved in the same conversation as those guys, you know for a fact you're doing something well. So good job to Jayson Tatum, that is quite the feat, and congrats to the Boston Celtics fans for having such a young star player. The only thing that makes me mad about that is the fact that the Lakers passed up on him in the draft. But maybe they would have traded him by now for Anthony Davis for all I know. I don't know. And to be exact on Jayson Tatum's stat line, he also had 29 points, 7 assists, and 12 rebounds. Like, how much more impressive can one really be? Jaylen Brown had 21 points and 8 rebounds. Kemba Walker had 14, 4, and 6, and he did a great job of controlling the pace of the game for the Celtics down the stretch of the game. And then Marcus Smart had 16 and 6, and his defense this entire series, well, he's always playing good defense, but in this series in particular, his defense really made a difference for the Celtics. And I could go into depth on coaching, but I'm not going to. But all I'm going to say about coaching is that Brad Stevens outcoached Nick Nurse throughout the course of the series. And you know, sometimes that happens, so props to Brad Stevens. Nick Nurse is still a phenomenal coach though. So congratulations to the Boston Celtics. And now let's talk about the Toronto Raptors. But before we do, if you wouldn't mind giving this video a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, I'd really appreciate it. Alrighty, now let's talk about the Toronto Raptors. There's really a lot I have to say to the Toronto Raptors fans, but before I say any of that, let's just break down yesterday's game for the Raptors. I know you guys don't want me to break it down too much for obvious reasons, but don't worry, I got y'all. So first things first, according to my YouTube analytics, the majority of the people who watch my channel are like 40 years old or something, which took me by surprise, but whatever. What's up, mom and dad? So since 40-year-olds are usually parents, I have a question for you guys. Have you ever told your kid the same thing over and over, and it's like no matter how you say it or how many times you say it, it still doesn't go through to their head. Anyway, the reason why I say that is because that is exactly how I feel about Pascal Siakam. I could sit here and talk about everything he did wrong once again, but I feel like I've already done that so many times this entire postseason that at this point I'm honestly just tired of saying the same thing over and over again. So when it comes to Pascal Siakam today, I'm just not going to say anything at all. So I'm just going to move on to the next player. Fred VanVleet really came to play. He led the entire team with 20 points. And that's a problem. When the leading scorer in the playoffs only has 20 points, 9 out of 10 times you're going to lose. Kyle Lowry had 16 points and Siakam had 13. And for those two guys to be the first two options, for them to not even combine for 30 points, honestly, the Raptors fans can't really be too surprised at the loss. Kyle Lowry and Pascal Siakam literally combined for 29 points, and 29 points is exactly how many points Jayson Tatum had. Serge Ibaka had 14 and 8 in only 20 minutes, and you know, the Raptors went on their runs here and there, and they took the lead a couple times in the game. But truth be told, towards the end of the fourth quarter, give or take halfway through the fourth quarter, the Raptors just looked absolutely lifeless. I can't speak on anybody else because I don't know what the Raptors were thinking, but from my perspective, it just looks like they had mentally already given up. Now, I could be wrong, and I'm not saying that that is what happened. I'm just saying that from my perspective, watching the game, they didn't close out that game with the same energy they closed it out in game 6. And then two more reasons on as to why I think the Raptors lost. The Raptors had almost twice as many turnovers as the Celtics. The Celtics scored 24 points off the first 15 Raptor turnovers. So when you combine the turnovers, plus Kyle Lowry not playing too well, plus Pascal Siakam, you know what, I'm not even going to say anything about Pascal Siakam. It really shouldn't come as too much of a surprise to see that the Raptors lost. And then one more thing I want to touch on the Raptors. I don't really agree with everything Nick Nurse did down the stretch of the game. I did play basketball growing up, so I feel a tiny bit more comfortable talking about actual players, but I've never been a coach, so I'm not too sure how that works. But just from my point of view, I wasn't really too fond of the way Nick Nurse did some things down the stretch of the game. But hey, he's the coach of the year. I'm just, you know. And now a quick little message to any Raptors fans who might still be watching. I was cheering for you guys for this entire series, and it wasn't because I dislike the Celtics because I'm a Laker fan. I mean, a little bit of it was because of that, don't get me wrong, but the main reason was because in so many of my videos, I see a lot of people leaving positive comments, and after those positive comments, so many of them end with, "This is coming from a Raptors fan." So after seeing all the support the Raptors fans showed my channel, the very least I could do was support you guys in your playoff series as well. And I know a lot of you Raptors fans aren't going to continue watching my channel the rest of this postseason, and I get it. If my team wasn't in the playoffs anymore, I might not be watching too many NBA videos either. But regardless, I just wanted to say thank you for your viewership for however long you might have been watching. Hey, if you watched this video all the way through, please make sure to give it a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, as I always say. Comment your thoughts down below, let me know what you think of everything I said. And for those who may be new to this channel, hit that subscribe button. I post a new NBA video every single morning at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to stay in the loop on everything going on in the NBA, just hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a beat. And once again, thank you all for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow when my Lakers bounce the Rockets out of the playoffs. If you're still here, consider watching this other video I picked out for you down below. Please just watch it. I'm trying to get to 300 subs, so go watch that video. Let me know what y'all think. And hit the like button on that video too. All right, see you guys.